Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Damion L, and I'm here to talk about the Matrix, codes of the Matrix, right? So a lot of people think that Matrix codes are all numbers, and like in the Matrix, they were showing that they were reading codes in the Matrix, and one of the guys in the Matrix was saying, after a while, all I see is ones and zeros. So, but the ones and zeros are code for male and female, right? So, we have a lot of numbers, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is pretty much like a start over. And then in numerology, 11 will be like a master number, right? So, but in another thought, to me, what I was realizing is that the codes in the Matrix is basically archetypes and personalities and people, places, and things, right? So basically, like a code in the Matrix could be like, it's basically a lock, is a code that's locked, and basically like you would have to learn how to unlock it. But first off, you have to understand that this is all illusion, and this is a matrix, and pretty much we're here today, and basically it seems like it's gonna seem like we didn't even existed, and this is all one point of this is all a big now, basically, like a present moment that's eternal, so basically like the codes of the matrix is basically like, all right, for example, right, so like you have like a stripper in a club. Like the stripper, who she is, that's not really who she is, but that's like it's pretty much what she coded herself to be in the matrix. And basically she would basically get or receive, she would basically receive what strippers receive, so it's also like the analogy and the sayings of cause and effect and law of attraction and everything, and the cycle of karma. And basically like a stripper will get what a stripper basically receives. So basically unless that stripper basically understands that that's not what she is, and that she could be something else, she could unlock the code that's in her reality as a stripper, So basically, like when we're dealing with cycles, it's all codes in a matrix, and the powers that be, the higher ups, like they basically lock us into codes in the matrix. They basically show us things that they want to show us, and we buy into it, and we're actually just on autopilot. So the codes could be violence, like things that's happening in the black community, and they replay it. They make movies in Hollywood, and they keep showing us the same things over and over again. Another example, codes. A code is like the slavery movie, like the slavery to portray a slavery mentality, basically. And all those movies that I grew up seeing, after a while I started to get tired of it, and I started to just feel like, man, like why they keep showing us all these things like over and over again? It would just be movie after movie, and it's basically it's a code in the matrix to keep us locked down or locked in or locked up into seeing these things over and over again, and to make us believe that all we were is slaves, and all we are was a slave, so yeah, like that's another code in the reality. And then another example of a code is like when you're in a situation like or you could say like a bad ex-girlfriend or whatever, and you would see that person character traits in that person over and over again in different people. That's a part of the matrix. But the matrix also deals with lessons, like in the movie The Matrix, Morpheus would teach Neo lessons when he would just like, where in his mind he didn't have belief systems to believe that, you know, he could fly, or he could do like things that are magical things that we can't explain, and defy gravity, you know. So basically, like, yeah, those cycles, I've seen those cycles in my life, and I wouldn't. And then another thing is, like, you got to ask yourself, why do I keep going into that same relationship? So I keep attracting a certain type of friend, you know, and that's a code in the matrix, basically. And it's something that's inside of you that's pretty much bringing it on and telling the matrix that this is what I'm programmed as, this is my code. So bring me more codes that pretty much complement or engage to keep this code continuous and keep going on. So basically, say for example, you have a female that's in like that's attracting like an abusive person, right? So that person in their mind, this woman in her mind, she has to convince the subconscious, which doesn't know the difference between time and emotion or anything, you know. It's just there, and it's running the reality. So basically, like, she would have to pretty much like erase that code or get rid of that code in order to find someone that's not that. So all the characteristics of what that person is finding over and over again, she will have to choose someone else that's like dressed a different way, talks a different way, you know. So yeah, man, like another example of codes in the matrix is a place too. It could be a place. You could be connected to a bar or a club, you know, because you might have had a lot of fun. You met a lot of women there. You got lucky, like nights after nights and everything, and it was a joyous experience for you, you know. And then also bad things could happen. Also, you might have had fights, rumbles, and everything in there, and yeah, like basically that code could now be locked. You could be locked to that code of that nightclub or that bar or wherever, and you're just there, and then time is going on, and you're just there, and time is wasted, energy is being wasted, and basically that's just pretty much it. And then you'll attract all the situations that deals with that nightclub, that bar, the drinking, and also the women. So, you know, you will have to, in order to break that code, you would have to find joy in other places, like, you know, like a park, some place like this, you know. Yeah, a place like this, an environment like this, and you know, you could have picnics, and you could spend quality time with people, and you know, yeah, and that's what it's all about. There's other adventures and everything to experience in life, you know. And yeah, it's definitely an eye opener to understand that. And another thing is habits are also codes in a matrix. Like basically, you could be locked into a code of a habit of, yeah, whatever it is. Like it could be drinking, smoking, even sex. It could be locked into a code, and you could be locked into the code of that, and to each his own, you know. Some people become corn stars, and you know, but it has shown that a corn star is basically like it's like a lot of times it ends in a tragic end. It has a tragic ending, you know, like the person, their soul, their mind, everything is like corrupted. A lot of them like pretty much delete they self, you know. So yeah, man, and this could go on and on and on, you know. So the codes in the matrix definitely deals with habits and cycles in the mind, and people, places, and things. this whole matrix, whatever it is, like it's a code. You know, you could be a smoker, and then basically you're gonna attract the things, even in health. A smoker, a drinker, or a drug doer, you will attract the situations and the circumstances of someone that does those things. You know, so. But definitely, man. Yeah. So that's my time for today. I'm Damion L, and like, comment, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I see y'all again. Peace.